you got here, the roof caved in, and the chief was trapped. Would you tell us just how it came about from what you've heard?
Well, apparently, as far as I know, the firemen had 3 lines in the garage. The fire was up above the ceiling, and they were working on getting hose lines up into the ceiling. And they heard a pop, and they made a run for the doors, and they didn't. Some of the fellows didn't make it. Several of them made it all right, but there were a couple by the door that we found, and then there were a couple farther, about 2/3 of the way in the building.
I understand the chief got word to come to the fire while celebrating his 36th wedding anniversary.
That's what I understand. This was his 36th wedding anniversary today.
What type of problem did this building present in battling the blaze? What were problems you encountered?
Well, apparently this is a normal garage fire with a loft above, storage area, and a mezzanine section. And you can't get to it from the bottom. And apparently the fire was burning above the ceiling between that and the roof. And of course, when the heat builds up to approximately 1,000 degrees, why this softens the beam construction of the roof, and whenever that reaches that temperature, why the beams fail and down it comes.
Chief Carney, this has been a terrible fire, one which we've lost the chief, Chief Tom McGoy. I know you were very close to him, not only personally, but at the time of the tragic accident. Could you kind of relate to us last few minutes of his fighting that terrific fire?
Well, what happened was, I came in just before McGoy. We had located the fire between the ceiling and the roof. We had one line in there with 3 men on it, and we were pulling the ceiling. McGoy showed then just shortly after that, and he came over, and we had decided that we wanted to use what we call a 2.5-inch applicator that we could put up in that ceiling. Oh, we stepped back outside, and he'd given orders to get the 2.5-inch applicators and get them in operation. We went back in, and the men were pulling more ceiling, and Tom said, let's move back just a little to the south and pull the ceiling down here so we can cut the fire off. And then Tom headed east back into the building to size up just a little more. And he had made it back to the east half of the building and started back west. Well, we had one crack. That's all the warning we had.
Just a second or two warning, right?
Well, it really was just a split second. So the natural instinct, you run for the nearest exit. Well, I cleared the building, probably a half a step ahead of it, turned back around to see if anybody that I could grab wasn't. Then this one man hollered for help. Well, this was Engine 5's crew. We pulled out the captain, and apparently he was all right. And we pulled another man out right quick, and apparently he was all right. But the third member of that crew was pinned by one of the beams. Chief McGoy was caught almost 2/3 of the way back in the building. There was no way in the world we could get to him. And his driver was just approximately about 20 feet south of where the chief was. And our chief inspector was in